Okay, so I'm Malte Holm, originally from Denmark. I work for a company called Grupo Entero in Guatemala City. It's a holding company. We have 10 business units, and I oversee the marketing and innovations departments as for the group. So, well, basically, we have a lot of different companies in the portfolio, anything from personal finance. We have a construction unit as well, and we also have a dental clinic that just opened concept. So it's a really weird mixture of of companies, I'd say, and a lot of I mentioned innovation, so as you can imagine, there's a lot of different innovations going on as for all the different companies. My background is I have an MBA and a Master in Management from Tulane University in New Orleans. I studied part of the MBA course in Guatemala, and originally from Denmark I have my bachelor's in business administration as well, with specialty in strategy and organizational behavior. So that's a little about myself.
You know, it's interesting. Your company, it is so diverse. You know, we talk sometimes about core competencies. What would you define your core competency as for your company?
Well, I'd say I think what we're really good at is that we have an approach where we try to find a business system. So, you know, like entrepreneurial systems that we use as much as we can. So that's basically what we're really good at. I'd say the innovation, seeing the opportunities and being able to act on them. And I guess that explains as well why we can be in so diverse industries, right? Because there's not necessarily like a red thread between everything we do, except that we share the same values, we share the same marketing systems. So I'd say that's our competency. We're really good at that, and that's what I do in corporate, right? Which is we try and find new systems, try and find new approaches, and then basically we push that out to the business units so they can take advantage of all the new knowledge and all the new things that we discover on the journey.
So so this kind of leads to a good question about your title and about the word innovation. You know, give us an example, or maybe you could start by defining innovation from your perspective, and then maybe give us a couple of examples of innovation and how they might be applied to your different businesses.
Okay. Definitely. I think there's a lot of, we talked a little about this, and I think there's a lot of different definitions out there. And I think just to simplify it, I think that the word innovation is simply just doing something different. I'd say you can do small innovations that just basically just change small parts of something to make it look a little different, but it can also be more radical stuff. Where you change the way you do business, or you change a whole sector, or you could innovate from the beginning, right? Where you introduce something new. So I guess there's a lot of ways you could define it, but we see it very, very simple. Basically, just trying to do things in a new way, like do something new, do it in a better way. And I'd say, well, probably one of the best examples, and a very recent one, is a business unit actually that was created through an innovation project. This is a company that buys gold, but we saw an opportunity in buying it from people. So it's a very high segment of people that they have a lot of gold. What we found out when we started, we used a method called design thinking, which is basically spend a lot of time with the users, understand like what do they think, what do they look like, what do they like to read, what do they do, but also focus on the non-users, the ones that are not like the potential, not just focus on the ones that always buy from you. And I guess when we did that with this particular project, we found out that a lot of people have lost jewelry. So they would have one earring maybe, but never use it because, I mean, they lost one, right?
Yep.
They'd have broken jewelry and so on. So this is stuff that for them it didn't have a lot of value. So we could innovate on figuring out a way to take these things and actually create value for the customer, which is, I mean, if you want to see very basic, we buy the stuff from them, but we do it in a way where we try to get them new emotions. So the value proposition is that we want to buy the stuff from them, but we give them back certificates for they can go to a spa, they can buy new clothing, they can buy new jewelry even if they want, right? So I'd say the way we came in with the innovation here was that we took the user-centered focus. We said we wanted to understand the user, right? Innovation is not only about being an intel and just figuring out something new based on technology, but it's a lot about understanding the users and why they do as they do, and what we could do to make it better, right?
So it can be like and in this case you really looked at the psychology or the psychological aspects of the user buying or selling experience and applied that, and that gave you a competitive advantage.
Definitely did.
Okay.
I mean, we understood that obviously for a higher segment person, they wouldn't go just anywhere and sell it, right? There has to be an experience around it. So, say, taking into account what Guatemala offers, obviously a lot of violence here. You wouldn't bring like 50 grams of gold just to sell on the street, right? I mean, that might be very risky. So we understood that, and we created a safe concept, which is in a closed building.
Okay.
So you would walk in, the attention is very personalized, a very safe environment, and you can go in and go out through the basement. So you can do it on scene, right? So I guess. I mean, you could buy gold, right? You could do that from anyone, but if you want to really understand your client and figure out what your target is, you need to be with them. You need to spend time with them, and that way you can understand like what's really going on, right? What are these guys looking to do, and how can you help them do it in a better way, right? Because I think in this particular case, there were no alternatives here, basically, because the ones that are in the market right now, besides us, are more the like on the street solution, or very informal, right? Which is not something that's interesting for a higher segment.
Well, I'm going to pull this together and kind of summarize it. It sounds like, if you want to come up with innovative ideas, the place to start is by spending time understanding your customers.
Right.
Okay. Great.
That and also I'd say the non-users, right?
Okay.
As for this concept, what we did was we did a lot of the empathy part was a key component at the beginning. Then we did a lot of prototyping, and then we started testing, which is something we believe in. We started testing really early, so we set up test concepts in different malls where this kind of segment would be. And so we tried it, right? We tried to get some feedback, and I think that's something I believe a lot in that. Like innovation, sometimes people think, oh, we have a good idea and it needs to be perfect, right? And that's what we don't do. We believe in, like trying it early in the stage, getting it back to the same users, get it in their hands, get their feedback, and then you simply you just make it, you improve it on as you progress, right? So I think that's very, very important. Don't wait till it's perfect, and just start from wherever you can, right? And
get in the game and
to know the user, talk to them, spend some time with them, and then as soon as you have a prototype, throw it right back at them, get some feedback, and know what's working, what's not working, and then you can improve, right?
Yep.
So that's how we did this, and we started a very low cost way, opened small offices in business centers to keep the fixed costs down, and then we can start, getting a feel if it's really working or not, and it's not hard to exit if it doesn't, because it's not a lot of cost, but again, if it does work, right, then you can also expand, so
okay.
So that would be it.
All right, very good, thank you.
You're welcome.